the kind of human being I am, and I know how I show up.
It's me, me, me.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
So, Meghan Markle recently appeared on a podcast, and not just any podcast. This one was hosted by Jamie Kern-Lima, a self-made entrepreneur and best-selling author known for deep, vulnerable conversations. From the moment it was announced, this episode was hyped up as something raw, emotional, and real. You know, the kind of personal, open-hearted talk that helps people finally connect with someone again. And let's be real, Meghan could really use that kind of moment right now. After the Netflix doc, the Spotify breakup, and the royal family drama, a lot of people have been waiting to hear from her in a more genuine way. This podcast was supposed to be it, the turning point. But what happened? Well, it got emotional, all right. Just not in the way Meghan probably hoped. About halfway into the episode, Meghan starts talking about how hard she works, how deeply she cares about her family, and how proud she is of who she is. And then she says this line, and she says it with full-on dramatic delivery. I just know I'm a great mom, I know I'm a great friend. Now, on paper, that line doesn't sound so bad. It sounds like a woman who's confident in her identity, but the way she said it, the tone, the pause, the tears that seemed like they wanted to fall but never quite did. It felt off. Like, instead of sharing a moment from the heart, it was more like a scene from a movie, a monologue she had practiced. And that's what a lot of people picked up on. The vibe was less confession and more performance. More look at me than listen to me. It felt like she was acting. Emotional, not being emotional. And this is exactly what Brett Cooper, the YouTuber and commentator, noticed right away. She reacted to the clip and said what a lot of people were already thinking, but weren't saying out loud. Her words? Brutal, but direct. And to be honest, that line hit hard. Because that was the moment the internet snapped to attention. The clip started spreading. People rewatched it, slowed it down. They zoomed in on Meghan's face. They picked apart the delivery. They asked, wait a second, was she actually crying? And that's when things really blew up. Because suddenly, it wasn't just about what she said, it was about how she said it. Was this vulnerability, or was this calculated? Was this an honest moment, or a PR performance? Let me ask you, have you ever heard someone say something really emotional, but it just didn't feel right? That's what this moment was like. It's the kind of thing where your gut says, something about this just doesn't feel real. And when that doubt creeps in, it's game over. Because once people start to feel like you're acting, even if your message is good, they stop believing in you. And right now, Meghan needs people to believe in her more than ever. But what really added fuel to the fire? What pushed this from awkward to uh-oh was what came next. Because right after talking about her emotions, Meghan brought up her husband, Prince Harry, but not in the way you'd expect. She didn't call him Harry. She didn't say my husband. She didn't even say babe or love. Nope. She called him And that tiny nickname, that three-letter moment, turned into a whole new wave of backlash. If you don't already know who Brett Cooper is, she's a fast-rising YouTuber and cultural commentator who's made a name for herself by calling things exactly how she sees them. She's sharp, she's direct, and she's not afraid to ruffle a few feathers. And when Brett watched Meghan's podcast appearance, she did not hold back. In her reaction, Brett zeroed in on the exact part that left a lot of viewers squirming in their seats. The awkward delivery, the over-the-top tone, the way Meghan seemed to be reaching for emotion, but coming up empty. And then Brett said it, the line that instantly set social media on fire. This is why she was never going to be more than a D-list actress. Brutal? Absolutely. But here's the thing, that quote hit a nerve because it echoed what so many people were already whispering. People were watching this podcast and thinking, this feels rehearsed. This feels like acting. This doesn't feel real. And suddenly, Brett had put those thoughts into one cutting sentence. Let's be honest, Meghan's been trying to shift her image for years. From Hollywood to royal life to the whole, I'm just like you thing. But comments like Brett's show that not everyone's buying the new brand, especially when it feels like a brand instead of a person. Brett also pointed out how strange it was when Meghan kept repeating this one phrase. H loves me so much. H just has such a beautiful heart. Not Harry, not my husband. Just And for some reason, that little nickname made a lot of people go, wait, what? It came across less like a sweet inside joke and more like a PR slogan. The kind of thing you'd hear in a scripted interview, not a genuine heart-to-heart. The way Meghan kept repeating it so casually, so purposefully, it didn't help her case. Instead of making her sound warm and relatable, it made the moment feel polished, packaged, almost robotic. And once again, Brett Cooper pointed it out. The crying felt weird. The lines sounded rehearsed. So let's talk about it, because that little nickname, just one letter, somehow became one of the biggest talking points of the whole episode. And once you hear how people reacted, you'll understand why Meghan's podcast went from emotional to controversial in just a matter of minutes. All throughout the podcast, and I mean, pretty much every time she mentioned him, Meghan didn't call her husband Harry. She didn't say, my husband, Harry, or even babe. No, she called him, just the letter. And listen, nicknames can be cute, but something about this one, and the way Meghan kept saying it, felt kind of weird. Here's what she kept repeating. H loves me so much. H has such a beautiful heart. H is always supporting me. Now, sure, on paper, that might sound sweet. But hearing it out over and over again, in the middle of an interview where everything already felt a little too polished, yeah, it didn't exactly land the way she probably hoped. Instead of sounding like a loving wife speaking from the heart, it sounded like she was trying to prove something to us, the audience, like she was trying to show, look how cute and strong our relationship is. Look how in love we are. And let's be real, when you're really in love, you don't have to keep repeating it for strangers. That's why so many people, including Brett Cooper, picked up on it right away. Brett said, and I quote, "It's just so dumb sounding. Like, what are you doing?" And you know what? A lot of people agreed. Not because there's anything wrong with having nicknames, of course not, but because the way Meghan used it felt unnatural. Almost like she wanted people to remember the name H, so they'd associate it with something adorable, something aspirational. It felt branded, like a relationship slogan, not real life. And let's not forget, this wasn't once or twice. She said it multiple times throughout the podcast, always, with this same calm, polished delivery. Like she was saying lines, not sharing memories. That's the thing with public image. Sometimes the more effort you put into trying to look real, the more fake it ends up feeling. Do you guys feel like she's faking?